Good morning. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. It's Thursday, December 12th, 2024. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
FBI Director Christopher Wray announces he will resign before President-elect Trump is sworn in. I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
The gun found on the suspect in the killing of the UnitedHealthcare CEO matches shell casings found at the scene. I'm Haya Panjwani.
The Franklin fire growing 39%, forcing thousands of residents to flee. I'm Julie Walker.
Serious allegations against 3 real estate tycoon brothers.
Prey on innocent women.
I'm Clayton Neville.
On Wall Street, a big record was set yesterday. We'll tell you what happened. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
Tariff threat from Canada, Carrie Lake's new employer, and the House passes a defense bill with a military pay raise. Mike Kempen has that. All ahead on America in the Morning. The FBI will soon have a new director after Christopher Wray announced he would be stepping down in the next few weeks. John Stolnis has the latest from Washington.
In a private town hall with employees of the Bureau, Wray announced that he would be stepping down prior to President-elect Donald Trump taking office. It's 3 years shy of the full 10-year term Wray began in 2017 when Trump nominated him to the post and clears the way for Trump loyalist Kash Patel to take his place once the president-elect takes office. Patel has said he would root out and pursue charges against those inside and outside the government who he believes has used lawfare against Trump and MAGA Republicans. Republican Senator Mike Rounds says Wray's resignation is not a surprise.
I think once the president indicated that he would prefer to have someone else, I think Chris Wray decided that this was the appropriate time for him to step away. It does not surprise me at all.
Wray told employees he wanted to keep the focus on the mission and that this was the best way to avoid dragging the Bureau, quote, deeper into the fray. Democratic Senator Mark Kelly says Wray served the American people well.
Donald Trump wanted to go in a different direction, but I do think he's been a very effective FBI director. I think he'll be a loss. I think he's done a good job, and my hope was that he would continue to serve through the rest of his term.
Wray oversaw an FBI investigation that led to 2 federal cases against Trump, the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case and Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election. Wray at a hearing 2 months after the January 6th attacks.
That siege was criminal behavior, plain and simple, and it's behavior that we, the FBI, view as domestic terrorism.
Last Sunday on NBC's Meet the Press, Trump was asked if he planned to fire the man he once appointed.
Well, I can't say I'm thrilled with him. He invaded my home. I'm suing the country over it.
Patel reacted to the Wray announcement in between his meetings with Republican senators on Capitol Hill.
We look forward to a very smooth transition at the FBI, and I'll be ready to go on day one.
Those senators continue to say they believe Patel will have the votes needed to be confirmed as Wray's eventual replacement next year. John Stolnis, Washington.
Investigators now have a 3D printed gun with his fingerprints on it, and there are reports that police also have in their chain of evidence a notebook detailing plans to kill a healthcare CEO. Correspondent Haya Panjwani reports on evidence matching the suspect in the killing of the UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson.
The suspect was in a McDonald's and was recognized by an employee who then called local police. Responding officers questioned the suspect, who was acting suspiciously and was carrying multiple fraudulent IDs as well as a U.S. passport.
The gun found on the suspect in the killing of the UnitedHealthcare CEO matches shell casings found at the scene.
We were able to match that gun to the 3 shell casings that we found in Midtown at the scene of the homicide.
New York City's Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch made the announcement.
We were also able at our crime lab to match the person of interest's fingerprints with fingerprints that we found on both the water bottle and the Kind bar near the scene of the homicide in Midtown.
Police had said earlier that they believe the gunman bought the items at a nearby coffee shop while waiting for his target. Mangione is jailed in Pennsylvania on weapon and forgery charges, but he's also been charged with murder in Brian Thompson's death.
My client has pled not guilty to each and every charge that he's presently facing. People forget about the presumption of innocence. You know, people hear things about people, they look at people and they already presume them guilty, and that bothers me. me as a defender of the Constitution. And so, yeah, I don't want people to rush to judgment. And all Americans, regardless of what you're charged with, is presumed to be innocent.
I'm Haya Panjwani.
Federal sex crime charges, the latest accused. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning. Welcome back. Snow continues in the west. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton with the national forecast.
A weakening storm pushing on shore along the west coast will mean some rain and high elevation snow through the day today from the Pacific Northwest southward through much of Nevada and a good portion of California as well. The collapse of this disturbance as the day progresses means that areas like California's central coast have the best chance of rain through the morning hours before it tends to dry out later today, but places farther inland and to the north, such as the Sierra Nevada mountains, can have some snow for much of the day today before precip more gradually winds down. Snow is also favored through the Cascades, western Idaho, and much of eastern Oregon, with steadier rain instead for western Washington and Oregon as showers dot the landscape from coastal northern California through the San Francisco Bay Area. East of there, many parts of the country have a dry day in store today. A rather weak disturbance can bring some flurries and a few snow showers to places from southeastern South Dakota to the Indiana-Ohio border region by day's end, but the southwest, central and southern plains, southeast, and even the mid-Atlantic look to be precipitation-free for this Thursday, along with most of coastal and southern New England. However, decidedly more active conditions spread from the Great Lakes into the interior northeast behind the significant storm that brought heavy rain and some snow to the region. The storm lifting into Canada means just some lingering rain and snow showers for parts of Maine, with snow favored away from the coast and into northern New York. For areas downwind of the lakes themselves, lake-effect snow is in store instead, with some heavy snow squalls possible from the Erie area of Pennsylvania into western New York. In Detroit, the coldest day since last winter can be expected with some sun, a couple of flurries, and a high of just 22. For Houston, look for sunshine and a high reaching 66 today. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Remember to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. A still out-of-control wildfire outside of Los Angeles is destroying property and forcing many, including celebrities like Dick Van Dyke and Cher, to evacuate. Correspondent Julie Walker reports.
You just saw the flames coming up over the hill, and at first it was not a problem because 5 minutes later they were like, it's in our direction. It just felt like super apocalyptic. Oh yeah, like the whole sky was red.
Dick Van Dyke, who's about to turn 99 and says one of his cats ran away in the wildfire. Cher also evacuating.
33 hours into this firefight, our primary focus remains the safety of residents and first responders.
LA County Fire Chief Anthony Maroney says more than 1,500 firefighters are battling the blaze.
And crews are working tirelessly around the clock to establish containment lines and defend structures.
At least 7 structures were destroyed and others damaged. Malibu Mayor Doug Stewart.
For many of us, every street that had a loss or was at risk had someone living there that we know personally. Our hearts go out to neighbors.
Audio courtesy KABC. Officials say the cause of the fire remains under investigation. I'm Julie Walker.
3 real estate tycoon brothers are facing serious federal sex crime charges. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
Alon, Oren, and Tal Alexander arrested on federal sex trafficking charges.
The Alexander brothers allegedly conspired to prey on innocent women, coercing them into engaging in sexual acts.
James Dennehy with the New York FBI field office.
The defendants allegedly used their wealth and status to recruit and pay for the travel of their intended victims, and then manipulated them into participating in sexual acts without their consent.
An indictment shows that the prominent real estate brothers conspired to repeatedly and violently drug, sexually assault, and rape dozens of women. They were arrested this week in Miami. The indictment includes 2 victims identified as Victim 1 and Victim 2 and charges the brothers with conspiracy and forcible sex trafficking. They're also being sued by an alleged victim. The FBI praising the women who came forward.
The FBI's investigations into these types of cases are only possible because of the bravery victims show in coming forward.
I'm Clayton Neville.
Musk's wealth grows. That and more next in Business when America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning. The Business Report is brought to you by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments takes a disciplined approach with investing, helping clients navigate volatile markets. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. Another day on Wall Street, another record-setting day. Here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Stocks are coming off a volatile and mixed day yesterday, but a major record was set on Wall Street.
NASDAQ hitting 20K for the first time ever. It is right there, right now. Several mega caps are also hitting record highs. Front and center, the return of big tech.
CNBC's Scott Wapner. The NASDAQ closed above 20,000 at 20,034 for the very first time. Companies whose shares hit fresh all-time highs on Wednesday include Google parent Alphabet, Amazon, Facebook parent Meta, Netflix, and Apple for the 9th trading day in a row. And a person has hit a record level of wealth as Tesla shares hit a record high yesterday.
Makes Elon, I believe, a $400 billionaire. First person to ever achieve that status. There's Tesla up 3%.
CNBC's Sarah Eisen talking about Tesla CEO Elon Musk. Now, Tesla shares are up more than 60% since Musk was seen with President-elect Trump shortly after Election Day. The Philadelphia Eagles, the latest NFL team to sell a stake to private equity so the team owner could pull out some cash. It's a tool that the league and owners recently approved. Inflation came in hotter in November as expected, and some investors are watching and stringing the last several months together.
It's unmistakable that the last 4 months with core up 0.3% month over month is a trend. And so that's an uncomfortable trend.
BNY Wealth's Alicia Levine on CNBC. Many investors believe that yesterday's inflation rate at 2.7% year over year isn't hot enough to keep the Fed from cutting interest rates when they meet next week.
Inflation was reported up in November. Jessica, where were the higher prices?
Prices were ticking higher for services. Think car wash, massage, car repair, things like that. And when it comes to products, inflation's also going in the wrong direction for a few things.
The reacceleration of food at home up 0.5%, used cars up 2%. These numbers had been negative for a while. Now they seem to be coming back up. Apparel turning around had been negative in the prior month, up 0.2%.
CNBC senior economics reporter Steve Leisman. On today's watch list, we get a fresh read on inflation, this time at the wholesale level. The November PPI, Producer Price Index, will be out at 8:30 Eastern. Inside the PPI is the PCE, Personal Consumption Expenditures, and that's the measure of inflation the Fed likes to look at. Today, we also find out how many people applied for unemployment benefits last week. Earnings are coming from Costco and Broadcom. The 2024 Time Person of the Year will be announced, and the Billboard Music Awards are tonight live in L.A. on Fox.
Beyoncé up for Best Country Album of the Year. Yep, CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. When we return on America in the Morning, military pay raise after these messages. Welcome back. This is America in the Morning. The first warning shot against proposed Donald Trump tariffs has been fired, and it comes from north of the border. The political leader of Canada's most populated province vowed to cut off energy transfers to the United States if President-elect Trump follows through on a 25% tax on all products entering the U.S. from Canada and Mexico. Ontario Premier Doug Ford said his nation cannot sit back and allow tariffs to happen. About 60% of American crude oil imports come from Canada, and Ontario is a major exporter of electricity to Michigan, Minnesota, and New York. Canada is also the largest foreign supplier of steel, aluminum, and uranium to the U.S. Shifting gears from Washington, the House has approved a defense bill that includes a military pay raise. Correspondent Mike Hempen reports.
The House has passed a nearly $900 billion measure that would give an almost 15% pay raise to the military's junior enlisted service members. Lawmakers say service member pay has failed to remain competitive with the private sector, forcing many families to rely on food banks and government assistance programs to put food on the table. The bill also includes an increase in defense spending. Some Democratic lawmakers oppose the inclusion of a ban on certain transgender medical treatments for children of military members. The measure now moves to the Senate, where lawmakers there have sought a bigger boost in defense spending than the 1% the current measure allows. Mike Hempen, Washington.
President-elect Donald Trump said last night he's picking Kari Lake to be the next director of The Voice of America. Lake's a former Phoenix TV news anchor who ran unsuccessfully to become Arizona governor and for the U.S. Senate. Trump is a fierce critic of the Voice of America, which was founded during World War II, and its congressional charter requires it to present independent news and information to international audiences in over 40 languages. America in the Morning for Thursday, December 12th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay, senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour, top U.S. official is in the hot seat, and the former Marine acquitted in the New York subway chokehold trial speaks out.
The Pentagon not as concerned as lawmakers about drone sightings in the Northeast. I'm Clayton Neville.
President-elect Trump is expected to be on Wall Street to ring the opening bell of the New York Stock Exchange. I'm Mike Hempen.
Hana Kobayashi, a missing Hawaiian woman, was found safe and her family is grateful. I'm Sue Aller.
A Wisconsin kayaker who faked his death and fled to Eastern Europe has willingly returned to the U.S. I'm Ed Donahue.
The Spider-Man universe is about to get a lot smaller. I'm Kevin Carr.
Back after these messages. This is America in the Morning. There's both rain and snow for portions of the Northeast today. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
A potent storm continues to pull northward through Canada today, intensifying as it does so, while any lingering precipitation for the Northeast will be in the form of some flurries and snow showers for Vermont, northern New Hampshire, and much of Maine, with some rain showers for down East Maine. The big story will transition to the colder air and the lake effect snow on the back end of the storm. Some of the favored lake effect zones to the east of Lake Ontario, along the Interstate 81 corridor in northern New York, can pick up 2 to 3 feet of storm total snow through Friday morning, especially in areas where snow squalls develop, with another zone of similar totals off Lake Erie well to the southwest of Buffalo. Pockets of up to 2 feet of snow are also expected downwind of Lake Superior and Michigan. Otherwise, cold air continues to pour into not only the east, but the upper Midwest as well this morning, with AccuWeather real field temperatures falling to 20 to 30 degrees below zero in some spots to start the day, from far northwestern Wisconsin to northeastern North Dakota, marking the arrival of the latest frigid air mass that should keep some places below zero for the entire day today, despite a good deal of sun. Real field temperatures may approach zero this morning as well, from northern Kansas through much of West Virginia and even into western New York. A very weak disturbance crossing the northern plains may touch off some flurries and snow showers from South Dakota to western Ohio today, but most other places from the east coast to the interior west look dry today. However, areas closer to the west coast face a rather wet day as the next arriving storm brings a renewed chance for rain from the central coast of California northward through much of the Pacific Northwest, with mountain snow piling up from the Sierra Nevada into the Cascades over the coming days as a parade of storms progresses through the west. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Remember to follow us wherever you get your podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. It happened in the first year of the Biden presidency, but for Secretary of State Antony Blinken, it's in the last days of his time in office that he faced critical questions from a House committee looking into the chaotic U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports.
The Biden administration's top diplomat is facing questions for the last time about one of its darkest moments, the U.S. pullout from Afghanistan. House Foreign Affairs Committee Chair Michael McCaul says the administration botched the withdrawal, leaving American troops dead and citizens and Afghan allies at risk.
This catastrophic event was the beginning of a failed foreign policy that lit the world on fire. I welcome your testimony, and I hope we take the opportunity for you first to take accountability, and second, for us to move forward so this never happens again.
McCaul lit into Secretary of State Antony Blinken at a hearing, capping nearly 4 years of animosity between them over the end of America's longest war. Blinken again defended how the administration handled the pullout, saying a deal Donald Trump negotiated with the Taliban left President Biden no viable alternative.
To the extent President Biden faced a choice, it was between ending the war or escalating it. Had he not followed through on his predecessor's commitment, attacks on our forces and allies would have resumed, and the Taliban's assault on the country's major cities would have commenced. That would have required sending tens of thousands more U.S. forces back into Afghanistan to defend ourselves and prevent a Taliban takeover.
And says Taliban attacks on American troops would have resumed if the president did not follow through on Trump's deal.
I deeply regret that we did not do more and could not do more to protect them. And to those families who are here with us today, you're in my thoughts, in my prayers. I wish that Nicole was here with us today. I'm deeply sorry that she's not.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
A series of recent unidentified drone sightings over New Jersey and parts of New York are now prompting serious concerns on Capitol Hill. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
Drones were spotted near a military facility and near President-elect Trump's Bedminster Golf Club, leading to flight restrictions in those areas. Lawmakers met with local officials about the sightings this week, and the meeting led to some serious concerns. New Jersey Congressman Jeff Van Drew said the drones are large and sophisticated. He added that there's circumstantial evidence that there's an Iranian mothership off the east coast of the U.S. that's launching the drone incursions. In response to that,
there is not any truth to that. There is no Iranian ship off the coast of the United States, and there's no so-called mothership launching drones towards the United States.
Pentagon Deputy Press Secretary Sabrina Singh.
These are not U.S. military drones. Again, this is being investigated by local law enforcement. What our initial assessment here is that these are not drones or activities coming from a foreign entity or adversary.
Senator Josh Hawley told Fox News he's not buying it.
Yeah, you can't tell me that we don't know what that is. I just think they're not being honest with us. I think that if we don't know, if our government really has no idea, then they're even more incompetent than I thought.
And Congressman Mark Green spoke with Fox Business.
The truth of the matter is we need local authorities to have the authority to actually do stuff with this, local law enforcement. Right now, it exists with DOJ, it exists with DHS, particularly at the border, and they've had almost 3,000 incursions at the border this year, those cartel related. But we need to extend their authority and then grant authority to local law enforcement, and that's the key thing that we're trying to do right now.
Others sounding off too. New Jersey Congressman Chris Smith now calling on Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin to help identify and address the widespread drone activity with urgency. I'm Clayton Neville.
Daniel Penny, the former U.S. Marine acquitted in the New York City subway chokehold trial involving Jordan Neely, has spoken out about what happened on the train and how it's changed his life. Correspondent Julie Walker reports.
Daniel Penny tells Fox Nation host Janine Pirro that Jordan Neely, the mentally ill man on a New York subway, was threatening to kill people.
He was just threatening to kill people. He was threatening to go to jail forever. Go to jail for the rest of his life. And now where I'm on the ground with him, I'm on my back in a very vulnerable position, If I just would have let go, now he turns.
Why is that a vulnerable position?
Well, if I just let him go, I'm on my back now. He can just turn around and start doing what he said to me. So
killing.
The Marine veteran was acquitted in the subway chokehold death and says he wouldn't have been able to live with himself had he not acted and something happened, even though Neely did not become physical with anyone.
The guilt I would have felt if someone did get hurt, if he did do what he was threatening to do, would never be able to live with myself. And I'll take 1 million court appearances and people calling me names and people hating me just to keep one of those people from getting hurt or killed.
The case becoming a flashpoint with protests erupting after the verdict.
Jordan came on that subway car. The first thing he asked for was food, and he was killed. And the person who killed him was not held responsible. We cannot allow this to keep happening.
Neely's father now suing Penny in civil court over his son's death.
I miss my son. My son didn't have to go through this. I didn't have to go through this either. It hurts. Really, really hurts. What are we going to do, people?
Julie Walker, New York.
Fake your own disappearance? This happens. That When America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Welcome back. I'm John Trout. Donald Trump will travel to New York City today. As the Associated Press is reporting, he will ring the opening bell of the New York Stock Exchange, one of the 2 honors he's expected to receive. Mike Hempen reports.
Trump also is expected to be announced as Time Magazine's 2024 Person of the Year. That's according to a person familiar with the selection. It would be a notable moment of twin recognitions for Trump, who was born and bred in New York. Trump was Time Magazine's Person of the Year in 2016 when he was first elected to the White House. Time has declined to confirm the selection ahead of Thursday morning's announcement. I'm Mike Hempen.
Hana Kobayashi, the missing Hawaiian woman whose disappearance prompted a massive search and a missing persons investigation in Los Angeles, has been found safe. Sue Aller reports.
30-year-old Hana Kobayashi from Maui was found alive after disappearing in Los Angeles last month. Her disappearance prompted a massive search after her family reported her missing. She was supposed to start a new job in New York as a photographer, but she missed her connecting flight from Hawaii. Authorities say surveillance video shows Hana cross the border into Mexico voluntarily. Her family became concerned after receiving alarming text messages in which she expressed fears for her safety and concerns that someone was attempting to steal her identity. Shortly after that, all communication stopped. Police said the investigation did not turn up any evidence that she was the victim of foul play or that she was being trafficked. Her father, Ryan Kobayashi, traveled to Los Angeles to help in the search, but tragically was found dead in a car parked near the airport. The medical examiner determined the cause of death to be suicide. In a statement, her family said they are grateful, but did not disclose her exact location to respect her privacy. I'm Sue Aller.
Now then, a Wisconsin kayaker who faked his own disappearance and left the country has returned home, but now faces criminal charges. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports.
Ryan Borgwart faked his own drowning and left his wife and 3 children back in October. He had been living in the former Soviet Republic of Georgia.
We had a great outcome.
Mark Podol is sheriff in Green Lake County, Wisconsin.
Ryan arrived on U.S. soil. He was then booked into the correctional facility.
The sheriff was asked why Borgwart returned home.
His family, I guess.
Borgwart has been released from custody and is charged with obstructing an intense lake search for his body, which cost the county $35,000. Last month, Borgwart began communicating with authorities. The sheriff says police were pulling at his heartstrings to come home. I'm Ed Donahue.
in what was supposed to be a major supermarket merger has now turned into a lawsuit. Correspondent Haya Panjwani explains.
The two companies are accusing each other of not doing enough to push their proposed alliance through, and Albertsons pulled out of a nearly $25 billion deal. The bitter breakup came the day after two judges issued injunctions to block the merger, saying it could reduce competition and harm consumers. Albertsons is now suing Kroger, asking for $600 million for a termination fee, as well as billions of dollars in legal fees and lost shareholder value. Kroger says the claims are baseless. I'm Haya Panjwani.
Google has cracked a 30-year-old problem and can now correct errors on the fly, making their new processor the fastest ever created. Here's Chuck Palm with that in today's Tech Report.
Google has cracked a major speed barrier with its new Willow quantum chip. The new state-of-the-art processor has demonstrated exponential reduction in errors as the number of qubits, or quantum bits, increases, a problem that has been pursued for nearly 30 years in the field of quantum computing. Willow touts 105 physical qubits, a major increase from previous versions of quantum processors. The way to measure these super-fast chips is with random circuit sampling, or RCS, and Willow cracked it in 5 minutes, which would have taken today's fastest supercomputers 10 septillion years to complete. That's 10 to the 25th power, or slightly longer than the universe has been known to exist. In a massive case of use exceeding need, there are few tasks that are available for this kind of processing power, but for sure AI and other complex machine learning algorithms will be getting a major boost in the near future. For more major breakthrough tech news, follow me on X at Chuck Palm.
America in the Morning's Robert Workman has a check of sports.
A big trade at baseball's winter meetings in Dallas. Garrett Crochet is changing his socks. The left-hander, who became a popular trade target last summer with the White Sox, is on his way to the Red Sox. Boston sending 4 prospects to Chicago, including its first pick in each of the previous 2 amateur drafts, catcher Kyle Teal and outfielder Braden Montgomery. The final day of the meetings also featured the Rule 5 draft, 15 players chosen at the major league level, 11 of them pitchers. The Atlanta Hawks continued their surprise run in the NBA Cup, knocking off the Knicks 108-100 to advance to Saturday's semifinals against the Bucks. Atlanta has already taken down the defending NBA champion Celtics and this year's league leaders, the Cavaliers, in group play. Out west, the Rockets nipped the Warriors 91-90, closing out the game on a 7-0 run to snap a 15-game losing streak against Golden State that dated back nearly 5 years. Houston will meet Oklahoma City in the other semifinal in Las Vegas on Saturday. College basketball, number 5 Kentucky got by Colgate 78-67. The Wildcats are now 9-1. NHL, the Rangers edged the Sabres 3-2. Adam Fox with a goal and 2 assists. Mika Zibanejad got his 300th career goal. And the Senators splashed the Ducks 5-1. Drake Batherson with a hat trick and a helper. NFL Week 15 kicks off tonight with an NFC West clash between the Rams and the 49ers. And Bill Belichick is heading back to school. After 29 years as an NFL head coach, including 6 Super Bowl titles with the Patriots, the 72-year-old has taken a 5-year contract at the University of North Carolina. Belichick's father coached college football for more than 40 years, but this is Bill's first time coaching outside the NFL. That's Thursday Sports.
Thank you, Robert. When we return on America in the Morning, these are not your father's spidey senses after these messages. This is America in the Morning. A man who wowed talk show audiences for decades has passed away. Entertainment correspondent Margie Zaraletta reports on the passing of the amazing Kreskin.
George Joseph Kresge Jr. was inspired by the comic book character Mandrake the Magician to create his persona Kreskin. Johnny Carson was the one who called him amazing.
I'm a mentalist in the sense that I tune in on people's thoughts. I influence their behaviors with the power of suggestion. I do thought perception experiments.
He made a TV career guessing playing cards chosen at random or using his fingers as magnets. One of his favorite tricks was to have someone hide his paycheck for his appearance somewhere in the audience, and he would find it. Kreskin said in a a 1996 AP interview, he offered $50,000 to anyone who could prove he was fake or used paid assistance.
I'm a showman. I dramatize what I do, but I have actually a $50,000 offer that's been well publicized for the years to anyone who can prove I employ paid assistants, Confederates. Sammy Davis, bless his soul, crystallized it more than anybody some years ago. He said, you know, Kreskin, you don't have to defend yourself. He said, if what you do is a gimmick or so-called, how come no one's come along and duplicated it all these years?
He also had long-term plans, even now.
I do intend to retire, but I've let everybody know it's going to be 10 days after I pass away.
I'm Archie Zaraletta.
While many Hollywood studios continually expand their franchises, it appears Sony is taking the web out of Spider-Man's hands. Kevin Carr explains.
With the impending release of Kraven the Hunter this weekend, Sony is reportedly ceasing its efforts to spearhead its own Spider-Man universe.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can.
The web-slinger has been a consistent moneymaker for decades, and even though the last Spider-Man film grossed about $2 billion as part of Disney's Marvel Cinematic Universe, the films from the Spider-Man comics that don't actually feature Spider-Man have been less than stellar.
I need more money.
The most successful Spider-Man adjacent films have been the Venom series, which wrapped up this year.
We may not make it out of this alive, buddy.
I have increased strength and speed and some form of bat radar.
Other movies like Morbius in 2022 and Madam Web earlier this year have been financial and critical disappointments.
I know this sounds crazy.
Back in 2014, Sony teased characters like the Rhino as part of a planned Sinister Six film. The Rhino, in fact, did not return.
We are hunters, the greatest the world has ever known.
Now, Kraven the Hunter is expected to gross about $15 million this weekend, which is less than the low water mark of Madam Web in February. The Wrap reports that the studio is giving up on ancillary characters and throwing support behind the upcoming Spider-Man sequel scheduled for July 24th, 2026. I'm Kevin Carr.
That's our show for today, Thursday, December 12th, 2024. America in the Morning is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.